So nice to be here for this session. I know that you have been having 2 rather long days, so I am going to talk to you a bit about our journey in constructing an API for drinks. But I'm going to start off with showing you a piece of a movie that we made over the weekend when we had our first ever hackathon. And the movie is still a rough cut, so the sound is not perfect, but I wanted to kind of give you a feel of the latest thing we did that had to do with the API. So let's start there.
Experience.
Sorry.
With Absolute, we wanted to take the hackathon and turn it on its head. Take the great stuff from traditional hackathons, amazing talent and state-of-the-art technology, but rather than just throw them in a room and wish them the best, take our experience and design knowledge and really set the scene of what the future of our experience could be.
We looked at conventional hackathon, tried to figure out in what parts we could really change it radically and do something new, something different, something the hackers will really remember. We created a wish box. Any participants during the hack could go out to and wish for something they needed for their project or just to feel good. The hackathon came out, took the order, and the hackathon himself had the team outside the whole thing.
Absolute is a great way of expanding collaborations in 3 areas. Absolute has been working with arts, we started with animated entirely, we did it with music, we're working with fashion, and this is a way of tackling tech community and kind of finding the artists, the tech community that are relevant to Absolute and that we would like to build a relationship with.
So just going to repeat what Marcus was saying that because I'm not sure that everyone heard that, but we have a strong heritage within Absolute for collaborations, and I'm really happy that we're moving into also seeing development and tech innovation as one of the big fields for collaboration. So over the weekend we had 50 teams down in our brand home, which is called Atelier. And we had a lot of teams competing and trying to figure out hacking the future bar experience together with Protothon. But that's what's just recently happened, but I'm going to start way back on why we created this API in the first place. So, but starting off with who am I then? So I work for Absolute since about 3 years. I work for Digital Business Solutions, which basically is that I do everything tech that has to do with consumers. So our websites, our apps, and everything the like. I am project manager and product owner of the API and a lot of these applications. So, the starting point. When I joined Absolute in 2011, we had been looking into a lot of new and different things. We had a new and shifting consumer landscape. We all know what happened when the first iPhone came and apps started coming, and then Facebook apps started coming. And there was a lot of openness to new services among consumers. And we have kind of one big insight that has to do with this, and that is that we sell spirits, but people consume drinks. And there's a kind of gap in between there. There's always the questions of what should I do with the spirit? And we wanted to help people to bridge that gap. So starting out with the iPhone, we had been doing a lot of applications. We'd done Bar Edition for iPhone and Android. We did a Home Edition version when the iPad was new. We were the first spirit brand ever in the App Store. We were the top 3 for the Home Edition. So we've been kind of pushing on to stuff and running with the latest device and doing a lot of cool stuff. But this landscape was already crowded, and we started in 2009, and we was crowded in 2011. We realized that we had to do something that was more clever, and that had a chance to evolve over time. And we started to think about what could actually be the way we could program our data, and what data could we actually share among ourselves and our markets. There was one more starting point, which is a bit more kind of corporate. In 2008, Pernod Ricard, the French company, bought Vin & Sprit, which was Absolut until 2008. So that whole setup was still a bit new to us. And we wanted to embrace that. And the big thing with Pernod Ricard is that it's decentralized, meaning that in the former days, we could just do a campaign from Sweden and we burst it out and it was everywhere because it was one global voice. But with Pernod Ricard, we needed to push it down to markets and help them with their campaigns, help them with their marketing, and then reach the consumers. So there was one more layer to kind of push through, which also made us think of how could we actually separate out the data that we want to share and make sure that it's fast and out there for the markets when they need it. So what we then set out to do was to create a technical backbone that would connect the dots among these devices. And I mean, this story isn't really special in that sense. A lot of people do a lot of different satellites and then realize that you need a central repository in some way. But if you look at the objectives, it's general really coming from the tech world. We wanted it to be stable, we wanted it to be fast, we wanted it to save us some money for maintenance. So it was driven from the tech side. But we also had kind of marketing considerations. We needed to look beyond the latest campaign, because campaigns and tonality, that is at the heart of a marketeer. And if we were to say, this is what you should always use, they would not take pride in using that, because that's their pride, and we wouldn't want to steal that from them. And we also wanted to look beyond the flavor of the month and see, is there something that we could do that is a real common denominator for our applications? And for the consumers, we needed to answer the two big questions. I have no idea what to make when I have a bottle of Absolut, or I have no idea what to order when I'm in a bar. So we realized that our common denominator are the drink recipes. So in all of these devices and on absolutdrinks.com, which is our main consumer homepage, we had a lot of recipes. And they had a lot of different angles to them. But we realized that the common denominator that could answer those two questions, what can I make and what do I order, was the drink recipes. So we started thinking about the drink recipes as data. So we realized that it could rather easily be extended. We had found a couple of devices that could use them already, the ones we already built with older technology. But we could also see it's interesting for on-premise, as in bars, having ways to order or displays in bars or displays at airport. We could easily see that this was growing, which made us think that we were onto something. So we realized we had recipes, we had ingredients. We started talking to bartenders and realizing that we also probably need tools and methods and trying to realize everything that we could do in a bar. And we really needed a sound data model, a model that could help us understand what it is that you do when you construct a drink. So you have a glass, you fill it with ice, you add spirits, you add a couple of mixers, you have a couple of other actions that you could do. You could shake it, you could strain it, you can muddle the ingredients. So we went through all of that data modeling. And it really helped us to understand the importance of knowing what your possibilities are. So in a bar, it's a set. The opportunities isn't endless in that sense. I mean, it's rather few things that you could actually do, which helped us, because that meant that we could program them and we can define them and we could say this set of actions is the ones that you're actually doing, and that helped. So we also realized that on top of doing the kind of data model and getting the ingredients and the recipes right, we also needed a whole lot of images. And working with marketing, to take product photos is really expensive. And to take product photos for a brand like Absolut, which has really high standards, is really, really expensive. So the first thing that we did when we did this was that we realized that we could take a lot of pictures of glasses and colored fluids and different texture of fluids, and we could combine them and generate images. So that we did. So now we had a sound data model. We had gone through what it is that bartenders do when they construct drinks, and we had a whole lot of images. So we put all of that into what's technically what we call the drink system, which is just .NET logic. And we have a Raven database of pre-populated drink documents and ingredient documents, and a JSON API that we could access the data through. And we call this the Absolut Drinks database. And we use it now for our apps and our homepage. Markets are using it. And I'm going to show you a video now that kind of summarizes what the Absolut Drinks database is.
This movie will show you how to easily use any drinks assets you need for your digital activities. If we wanted to access all drinks, we'd simply type in this. The resulting JSON object can be used in a number of ways to give us exactly the assets we need. What if we need only drinks with Absolut vodka? Let's look for a certain taste. Preferably in a cocktail glass. Something suitable for the afternoon. Also add custom tags that suit specific needs. What if we want to create a summer collection? We add the drinks that are related to summer. And now we have a summer collection. You can easily access the information related to a specific drink, the drink's ingredients, and tools needed. You can access the drink image and modify it. Choose size, format, and quality that you need. Choose a custom language. We use the assets from the Absolut Drink database on absolutdrinks.com, but you can use them on Facebook, in applications, in banners, wherever you may need them. Get familiar with the Absolut Drinks database documentation, which includes information on how to get started, how to leverage our client libraries, and how to dive into the different possibilities. To get access to the necessary API keys, check out the link on the screen, or contact interactive@absolut.com.
So, sorry about his voice, by the way, I would never have chosen that one. But anyway, so this is what the Absolut Drinks database is. It contains 3,500 drink recipes. All of them have high quality drink images. They're printable up to A3, I think, that we constructed via the drink system. 500 plus ingredients, drink recipes and step-by-step and mixing instructions. Metadata for drinks, as in rating or how are they difficult or easy, which glass types they're in, stuff like that. A number of languages. So this is what we did, and it turned out to to teach us some things. And I think that one of the first things that I call this presentation making a brand programmable, and like one of the key takeaways is that we took out everything that was the brand and made sure that what we put into this database was more data than brand, because we wanted to make sure that the markets and the marketeers and the people who wanna actually drive sales out there with customers, they need to have the power to have that conversation. But we want to lower the threshold and make sure that they have tools that they can use to have that conversation with the consumers. So the bad and the good news of doing this. I think that, I mean, you've been here for 2 days. I haven't been here for all of the sessions, but I'm guessing that you've been talking a lot about openness and how to open up APIs. I saw some tweet saying that the question is not if you should have an API, but whether or not you should open it. And I think that one of the real kind of bad news for us is that our data isn't as open as we wish. And I can see you thinking, but there's nothing sensitive in drink recipes, right? We usually talk about sensitive data in terms of personal data, right? But our context is in itself sensitive. So whenever I put something out there in the name of Absolut, that becomes marketing, meaning that it needs to be covered by a lot of marketing legal requirements and CSR requirements. And of course, we want to live by them. We have to and we want to. But from a kind of development API standpoint, I would love to give this API to everyone and have them do a lot of fun stuff. But that's not really possible. So that's one of the bad news that we kind of learned. We're still struggling with this. We're hoping to kind of solve that through API licensing and making sure that we have guidelines. But so far, it still needs to be kind of more centralized than I would want it to be from a development standpoint. And that is due to CSR and legal requirements. What you see on the screen here is what we call an age verification page that you need to have on everything that has to do with alcohol marketing. So then we come to kind of the good news. And the good news for us is that this journey with the API and finding the common denominator and finding the recipes really led us to take technical ownership over our platforms. And it also led us to a whole lot of great product innovation that we didn't think that we were gaining. Like I said, we did this more from a technical standpoint. We wanted to be stable, we wanted to be fast, we wanted to make our lives simpler so that we didn't have to maintain as many things all the time. But what we gained was that when you've done that API and you've been looking at ways to filter it and what we want, I also learned so much about this data. I knew how many of our drinks were served in a cocktail glass, roughly half of them, and how many are served in a highball glass, which is 833. So I learned all of this when we did this. And I'm among friends, so I'm pretty nerdy. So a lot of this data just, gets caught in my head. So I realized that there was a big potential in knowing this stuff, because when people ask me, can I do this? I can actually answer them because I know what's in there. And I'm going to show you now something that I've been working on for the last 15 months. And it's not out with consumers yet, so I would love to hear what you think about it afterwards. But I briefly told you about the images and the way we kind of took pictures of glassware and fluids and then combined them into drink images. Well, we thought, we have all the mixing steps, and it's a pretty predefined space. Couldn't we do videos as well? Couldn't we take the 28,000 mixing steps that we have in this database and film them and edit them and make sure that we got a movie for every drink? Could we do that? Well, we tried, and we're almost there. So I'm going to show you a movie that talks about that project.
Imagine machines that could generate quality video content on command. Thousands of videos, all of them unique. Absolut has created a film generator that can do exactly that. To be able to provide an easy-to-follow instruction for each and one of the 3,500 recipes featured on AbsolutDrinks.com, we created a bit of movie magic. Type in the name of any drink and wait for the film generator to do its job. Voila. To do this, we recorded as many muddles, shakes, stirs, strains, and garnishes we could think of. Each clip is then indexed into a generator powered by code that knows exactly what steps it takes to make any drink. Thousands of unique films created instantly and automatically. The result is so convincing you'd think a single exhausted bartender made all 3,500 drinks. Becoming a master mixologist has never been so easy. Try it yourself and see what videos inspire you on AbsoluteDrinks.com.
So I'm going to show you one of the videos as well. So usually when you talk about constructing APIs, and I'm sure that many of you in this room knows a lot more about that than me, because I've done one, but I'm pretty proud of that one. Is that you should eat your own API, right? That's one of the first keys. So I think that was one of the things that was kind of lucky in one sense, that we started out with doing all of the devices, and then we realized we needed this, and then we could one by one exchange the devices against the API and learn even more. So some of the conclusions from our journey, and as I said, I'm not sure if these are really special for this project, or if this is something that happens all of the time. But I think that for us, the key to program, we set out by thinking that we should have a lot of brand information in this API, but we realized that the data that's in there, it's what's interesting. So the key to program a brand is to find that common denominator. For us, it was the recipes, and of course for other brands, it wouldn't be. But if you're selling car parts, then that could be a possibility to find that kind of data that you could push out to your resellers. I don't know. I'm making stuff up now. So anyway, the other thing that we learned is that data can be sensitive in more ways than we kind of anticipated, and I think that's something that also has to do with being a major brand, because if we have Absolute on it, people know who we are from the very beginning. And I think that if you're a small startup, you could possibly get away with other stuff. Also, I think that the two endpoints here, knowing your data models and knowing your structure, creates a great leverage for new ideas, which wasn't really something that we kind of thought of. And it's really interesting because we've been kind of pushing ADDB to markets and talking about this for a long time. And with this video, when we started video project, when we started showing that, I think that people actually kind of understood that, oh, all right, so that's how it all fits together. That's why you say that when I want a recipe for this event, you have to have it in a standard format. That's because you can do that with that standard format. Well, that makes sense. You're not just being, you know, the techie woman saying, I need it standardized. That's not it. It's because we can do amazing things if we define the standard on forefront. So, and last but not least, what you see down here is the drinks I've been showing through the presentation. This is Absolute Hibiscus Bubbles. This is Absolute Citron Gimlet. This is Aviation, made on gin, my personal favorite. This is an Absolute Cosmopolitan, and this is a glass of water. So, if you don't know what to order next time you're at the bar, at least I've given you that. Try one of these, but you have to try the glass of water. Okay? Thank you.
We have just a couple minutes for questions before we close out the event. So if there are some, please raise your hand.
You mentioned that the bad news is right now it's not available.
Yeah.
Are there plans to make this awesome resource available to everyone?
Wishes, yes. Plans, maybe. No, but I mean, as I said, I come from your end. Like I get it, but in terms of taking the responsible choice, we also really need to do that. So I think that there are plans, but so far we still have to do it through us. And I mean, I would love to have just, you know, hit the button, get the API key, lower the threshold, get the code up there, and then you say, hey, Eva, I built this cool thing. Could we use that? But it's not really the way it works with these legal requirements. But any ideas? Just bring them on.
Great. Maybe one more? Just want to arm wrestle?
So have you or anybody else made a drinking robot?
A drinking robot?
Yeah, making drinks from this because it sounds perfect. You have the exact descriptions to make everything, and you can take a robot like an ASEA robot or something, and if it hasn't been done, I guess it would be
it would be a cheap
really
shot for me
fun.
to steal that idea when I walk out the room. Okay, yeah. No, I don't think we have, actually. I'm looking for Johan now because during the hackathon weekend, I'm guessing a lot of these ideas kind of came up. But hopefully we'll have a new hackathon session in the coming year or so, and you can enter with your robot idea. I would love that. You come talk to me, right? Anything else?
Do we have time, Jakob? One more. Here you go.
Thanks. That was very beautiful. The expression of the APIs was very beautiful. The question I have might be more to the other people in the room. In the first video, you showed choosing the resolution of an image. And in the way it was animated in your video, it sort of gave the impression that work was happening client-side, which I imagine it wasn't in reality. I think that was just the way it was being shown. But I would be really interested if anybody in the room thought that technically that might actually be possible.
Well, it
Could
is
it be possible?
Done client-side, actually.
Okay. Okay. That's very interesting. Maybe it's a trivial question. I don't
I'm
know
sorry
enough
if it
about
sounded that way.
But,
So what it is that, and I'm kind of treading into muddy waters now because I haven't programmed it myself. But we have an asset server and we have one first image there, and then that resizing is done, and we save that one for every call that we have. We save that version so that it's always cached for the next kind of question. But in terms of the decompression values, you can enter anything, and that happens.
the compression is happening server side.
Okay. I said it was muddy waters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably done. I'm sorry.
It's
probably done in
well.
our asset server. Like, if I'm thinking about it for a while, that's probably where it's done. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm just very interested if anybody thought that could actually be done client side. I suspect it can.
Sorry, I was being cocky there. That was wrong.
Okay, great presentation.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Eva.